Tyrion and Daenerys are two of the most beloved characters in Game of Thrones, and having them work together for the past few years is a match made in heaven. But the honeymoon may soon be over if this theory has anything to do with it, as it suggests that all of Dany's hard work may actually come undone thanks to Tyrion. How will it happen? Let's dive in. The cast and crew of Game of Thrones have only 6 episodes left to complete their stories. Even with the extended runtimes of this season, that's not a lot of time to wrap everything up. So you bet the writers will be focused on making sure this season is as much jam-packed with action and resolution as possible.
It's fun. Look at the fun we're having.
The big threat this year will be the White Walkers having finally breached the wall and being set loose upon the world. Leading them and the army of the dead is the Night King, who will ride into battle atop a terrifying ice dragon. Seriously, that may be the most heavy metal thing ever. While all that is going on, we still need to follow Dany's ambitious goal to reclaim the throne, Cersei's plan to betray Dany and Jon, Jaime's decision to walk away from Cersei, and the one thing fans really want to see, the Clegane Bowl, where the Hound and the Mountain will finally go at it.
Remember me?
Then there's wrapping things up and asking the hard questions, like will the Dothraki actually start behaving themselves now that they're in Westeros? Or will they go back to their old ways of raiding and causing harm to small settlements? That's a lot of content to tackle, and for all we know, that's only scratching the surface, especially if it's revealed that Tyrion will end up betraying his friend and ally, Daenerys Targaryen. All may seem fine now on the surface level, but dive further into the telltale clues left behind by the writers and directors, and we begin to see a picture that suggests that Tyrion may not be so loyal to his queen anymore. Tyrion met Dany towards the tail end of Season 5. Being a Lannister, Tyrion had to really step up and prove his worth to the Mother of Dragons, as she sees the blonde-haired family member as one of her greatest enemies. But eventually, Tyrion earned her trust, and throughout Season 6 was an extremely valuable ally. He was simply there for her, and offered plenty of counsel and feedback for her to ponder over, and his efforts and loyalty were rewarding when Dany named him Hand of the Queen. But then, Season 7 happened, and the tides began to turn. Anticipating an attack from Daenerys, who recently landed in Westeros, Jaime was able to set up proper defenses and make a terrible situation slightly better. Euron Greyjoy also attacked Dany's allies on the waters, effectively crippling the Dornish and the renegade Greyjoy fleets. It was Tyrion who counseled Dany on the conquest of Westeros, and so far, that campaign has been mired by defeat and loss. Not only that, but in helping the Night's Watch, she lost one of her beloved dragons. So Dany isn't exactly in the best of places these days, and she may be putting a lot of that frustration on Tyrion himself. After all, it was Tyrion who persuaded Dany to venture north to rescue Jon and his brothers on the Wall from certain doom after they called for aid. Jon and a few members of the Night's Watch attempted to bring a Walker White to the south to prove of the coming threat, but in doing so, she's now down one dragon, and it may all be done in vain if Cersei plans to betray Dany anyway. Understandably, Dany is likely feeling a bit resentful to her advisor, as his decisions seem to be causing more trouble than good as of late. All of that failure is certainly piling on Tyrion's soldiers, and the verbal criticism coming from Dany certainly isn't helping. So when an opportunity comes knocking to do something about it, Tyrion may just be willing to open that door. At the end of Season 7, Jaime Lannister ended up walking away from Cersei and ventured into the wilds. Where's he going? Well, we may not know for sure, but seeing as how everybody else is in the north, it seems like a good bet that he's off to find his brother and see what his former enemies have to say for themselves. Only Jaime won't exactly be welcomed with open arms in the north,
I don't believe you.
even if he has left Cersei. For one, Bran is back in Winterfell, and it's unlikely he's forgotten what Jaime did to him. Bran is an all-knowing magical being now and may not be bothered by such events, but part of him may not be in the forgiving mood. More importantly, though, is that Dany is also up in the north, and considering she just clashed with Jaime on the Field of Fire and that he tried to kill her, we're certain she'd prefer to cook him in a dragon's flames rather than talk to him. This may cause further strain on Tyrion, who, despite being tormented by his family, actually had a strong kinship with his brother Jaime. It was Jaime who helped Tyrion escape from prison when he was accused for killing Joffrey in Season 4, and Jaime repeatedly defended Tyrion to both Cersei and Tywin in the past. But if Jaime comes and reveals that Cersei plans on betraying Jon and Dany, then Dany may have further doubts about Lannister loyalty and push Tyrion even further away than she has already. This would put Tyrion in a very awkward situation. Thanks to the scripts, we know that Tyrion is actually in love with Dany, but we know that that love isn't going to go anywhere thanks to her recent hookup with Jon Snow, a man she's only just gotten to know. Tyrion is already feeling betrayed, sad, and strained, and if he has to choose between the loyalty to the queen he's sworn to serve and secretly loves, or the brother he openly cares about, we think Tyrion won't be so quick to defend Dany. During the Fields of Fire scene, when the dragons really unleash their powers on Westeros, Tyrion has a moment where he sees the destruction befalling his family's army. This has a visible effect on Tyrion, and it's possible he actually regrets what he's done. This is the very reason why Jaime killed the Mad King after all. Later on, Dany accused Tyrion of still being loyal to the Lannister family, and after recently witnessing Dany's wrath, can you blame him for being a little hesitant about going forward? Then there's the whole Jon Snow situation. Barring that Dany is almost certainly Jon's aunt, the two have entered into a romantic relationship at quite possibly the worst time. But if Jon is Dany's nephew, his claim to the throne is stronger than hers. Even if the pair learns of this information and Jon refuses the throne, Dany may still see Jon as a potential threat, as Jon is something of a folk hero now, has not had to use dragons to terrorize the continent, and is seen as a man of the people.
The king in the north!
While Dany is a foreign invader, bringing death and destruction. If the people found out about Jon's lineage, they'd likely side with him instantly. Dany has literally built her campaign on the idea of reclaiming what is hers. But with Jon thrown into the equation, her campaign suddenly comes off as an invasion, much like King Aegon before her. So it's clear that Tyrion is feeling a bit stressed these days.
Do you have wine?
But things may have taken an interesting turn in Season 7 when he came face to face with his sister once again. There is no love between Cersei and Tyrion. She hated him even more when she believed that he killed Joffrey, and the nail in the coffin was when he killed their father, Tywin. But Cersei is a master manipulator. As we know, Cersei has lost all of her children that were alive in Season 1, but she's pregnant yet again. Despite leaving his family, Tyrion cares very much about the Lannister name and legacy. Cersei knows this, and like a professional poker player, subtly touches her belly when talking with Tyrion. He's quickly able to deduce that Cersei is pregnant and falls right into Cersei's web, as she wanted him to know this information. From there, the floodgates open. Whether or not this meeting has happened yet remains to be seen. It could have happened off camera, or it'll play out in Season 8, but there's a good chance that Tyrion is now working with Cersei. Tyrion is the kind of character who does anything to survive, and isn't bound by working solely as a good guy. The reason why we like him is due to his intelligence and his willingness to operate in the gray zone. He's starting to see Dany as a warmonger, and perhaps even as a mad queen, not unlike her father before her. But he knows that Cersei on the throne is just as dangerous. So Tyrion is likely setting the stage to allow for Dany to become queen, should they defeat the White Walker threat, but ensure that Cersei's unborn child ends up as the heir to the throne. So when Tyrion can be seen standing outside Dany's chambers as she hooks up with Jon, he's feeling a lot of things here, from the string of unrequited love to the realization that if Dany is placed on the throne and is pregnant, his plan with Cersei, if it's in place during Season 7, would come undone. In many ways, Tyrion actually comes across like his sometimes friend and ally, Varys. Varys is known as the Spider, and works behind the scenes by placing the pieces on the board in a situation that suits the land better than the throne. If Tyrion sees what he's been working towards is actually doing more harm than good, then Tyrion may very well pull a page out of Varys' book and start looking at the bigger picture and formulate a plan that will work in the benefit of the land and the people, not those who aim to sit on the throne in the present. Dany and Cersei, despite their ambitions, each are doing harm in their own respective ways, with Dany raining death and destruction on the continent and instigating fear, while Cersei would rather see the world crumble than team up with her enemies in what has to be the biggest display of evil stubbornness ever. None of these mindsets are particularly good for Westeros, and if Tyrion can alter these events, we think he would. There are a ton of little potential motivators to get Tyrion to betray Dany in Season 8. His loyalty to Jaime Lannister may come into play if Jaime shows up in the North. Considering how Jaime was the one to free Tyrion from the jail cells and execution, Tyrion is technically in debt to his brother. Tyrion may also learn of Jon's true heritage and act upon that. Whereas Dany was once seen as a savior, coming to reclaim the throne, Jon's parentage actually makes him the rightful ruler, and turns Dany into a conqueror rather than a savior. Finally, Cersei may be the one that's manipulating Tyrion into doing her bidding, and getting him to betray Dany. She's already stated she has no intention of working with Dany, and means to continue to rule. She's a master manipulator, and knows how to play Tyrion and to say exactly what he wants to hear. Tyrion is fiercely proud of being a Lannister.
Stop that. You're making me uncomfortable.
And having the chance to see his bloodline continue through his sister would mean a lot for him. So much so that he may act on it in the wake of seeing Dany exact bloody vengeance at the Fields of Fire. What do you think, though? Do you think being pushed away from Dany and seeing her with Jon, his brother's well-being, and Cersei's manipulation mean that Tyrion will betray Dany? Or is he going to stick with her until the very end due to his quiet love for her? Let us know what you think in the comments, and be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like it in your playlist every day. Thanks for watching.